All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Monetize Your Message, where we are helping you strategize around how to monetize your message within your business so that you can get more clients, make more money, and build a business that you actually enjoy spending every day in. I'm really, really excited for today's episode. And you notice it's just me, no Marie today. So I'm hogging this guest who I am super excited to be sharing with you guys. This is Mike Kelly. He is one of the founders of MemberVault, which is the platform that we have chosen to use to host our courses on. And I'll get into why in a little bit, but I kind of want to hand the floor over to Mike for just a second so that he can introduce himself and what is so awesome about MemberVault, why it's such a great platform.
Awesome. Hey, thanks. Group hug. Hey, yeah. Marie's with us in spirit here right now, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So and this is Washington right behind me, Washington State. So it's all mossy. It's not a Skype background, but yeah. Anyhow, hi, my name is Mike. It's so nice to be here. MemberVault, man. I've been a developer for like 10 plus years, and always just creating custom cool solutions for people. And MemberVault's been a little over a year in the making, and why we were so excited about building it is, all the platforms that were existing at the time, none of them really, they were all about like, just build your course and kick it out there, like get your course up in 5 minutes, get, all this kind of stuff. But there was no like follow up about like, hey, how are your students doing in the course, right? Like, how are you keeping them on track? And if students aren't completing your course, where are they falling off? Like, do you know? Like, so it's just like this, is this concept of like, just build it and they will come. And that's not really true anymore. And so anyway, that's why we built MemberVault. And so we always hear us going on and on about engagement, how we want engagement, student engagement, how to customize engagement, stuff like that. And again, I don't want to go too far into it right now because I know, we'll have questions around it. But that's really what we built it for, is we built it around this idea of engagement, around the idea of kind of knowing what your students are up to, getting them back on track if they get off track, celebrating their wins, and just customizing that, just being able to customize that through like smart engagement and automation. And so that's really what MemberVault's all about.
That's amazing. And so I used to be a high school teacher, right? Before I went full-time in the business for 5 years.
I didn't know that.
I taught 11th grade for 5 years. And so maybe it's because I'm coming at it from that angle, but to me, that's just such a duh thing. Like, of course you want your students engaged. Of course you want them to finish your courses. Like, you don't just want to get them into the course and then just forget about them. Otherwise, right. What's the point? It's that idea of, are you doing it just to make a buck off of it? Or are you doing it to really give these people value and see them through it and see them make actionable changes in whatever topic your course may be talking about?
Right. And even if you do want to make a buck, this is the coolest thing, right? Is that the best people to make a buck off of are people that consume your content and enjoy it, right? So it's like, I know very few people that have one course online and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, we all have multiple courses and multiple streams, or we'll have a free course or a challenge or something like that. And then, kind of give people a taste. And if they complete that, and if they're on track and they go through it and they enjoy it and, they feel included and engaged, guess what? They're going to be fans of yours and they're going to be customers. So, instead of making $1, why not make $2 or $3?
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes, oftentimes, most of the time, it's the people who have those good experiences with you and your programs who become your biggest fans and your biggest cheerleaders and do some of the marketing for you, which is great because, we all want to talk about the programs we use and love, the courses we use and love. That's one of the reasons why you're here, because we use MemberVault and we love it. It was one of the best choices that we made for our platform because Marie and I do a lot of free challenges that we then turn into mini courses. And we were just kind of accruing these, and none of the other hosting options really were very appealing to us. Just the way that they were structured didn't make sense for us, partially because of my teaching background. I was like, no, I want to get in there and make sure that people are actually getting value out of this. And then also just, we wanted a place that felt easy and simple, and we didn't have to learn another tech tool
Yeah.
And I think Member Vault does a really good job of kind of balancing those things, balancing the student engagement with not giving entrepreneurs another thing to think about.
Right. And that's another kind of, engagement is one of those things, but, simplicity and integration is another big part of it too. And, we didn't take something and like, oh, we can change this and make it into Member Vault. Like, we started from nothing. Like, we built this from the ground up. We were like, okay, let's get all the feedback. What do we need? So instead of like getting something big and just cutting out things that we don't need, right? That's how you kind of end up with a messy software platform that it's all buggy and you're confused and you don't know where things are. And instead, we took the opposite approach and we're like, let's start from nothing, add exactly what we need, and then go through that feedback loop and just keep refining it and refining it and refining it. And yeah, that's one of our biggest like positive feedback things that we get is that it is so easy. And so that's part of it as well. And then we want to integrate with as many tools as possible too. So that's another thing that, that we've done is one of the pieces of feedback that we were getting is that people hated having to use a particular sales page, a particular payment processor, a particular, I don't know what course platform it is. It might be in multiple ones where they actually make an account like at that course platform. Like it's not even your student really, it's their student, but like they have access to your course. And like that felt really icky to us too. And we were like, it shouldn't be like that. It should be like your private cloud. And then if you want to use Divi, or if you want to use Samcar, or you want to use PayPal, or whatever you want to use, you can do that part yourself. And then you just wire it up to MemberVault, integrate it in. And so that's, so incoming we have integrations, and we have an official Zapier app now too. So there's like 100,000 apps in Zapier. And MemberVault is now one of them. So like you can integrate with 100,000 things if you want. And then we have direct integrations with ConvertKit, Entreport, ActiveCampaign, and Drip as well for outgoing things as well. So one of the big things that MemberVault's doing is automatically tagging. So there's so much power in the tag. And this is how we can kind of customize experience. Just so we're not like a talking head, like, yeah, engage your students. Like, well, that's great, but what does that mean? And for MemberVault, what it means is we're leveraging these things called tags, and we have special students in there, right? So we have like the special students that we have right now are like the star, the slacker, and the ghost. And, the star student like blows through and like, gives through your course really quick. The slacker starts the course and then just bails out somewhere. They see a squirrel and they go somewhere else. And then the ghost like signs up for the course and then just like disappears, right? And so anyone who's taken an online course or hosted one knows about these types of students. You probably knew from your in-person classrooms, right? Yeah. Did you ever experience slackers in high school? I don't know.
No, never. There are no slackers. Definitely not 16-year-olds. Right.
You probably had a few ghosts too. They were just like, see them first day of school and then that's it.
And the stars, the overachiever stars who are always asking questions and wanting to know more and wanting that extra layer of support.
Right, exactly. So MemberVault will automatically tag these people based on this activity, and they will tag them in your email system. And the beautiful thing is then in that email system, whether it be ActiveCampaign, Drip, ConvertKit, Entreport, whatever, you can have an automation that responds to that. So like if someone blows through the course, and they're a star student, as soon as that tag gets applied, you can have an automation run. You can put them in an automation. Hey, congratulations, you really nailed it. Like whatever you want your message to be. And then you can go ahead and you can offer them more things, or you can, wrap them in, or they can become a testimonial, or whatever the case. But you wouldn't want to do that for someone that took a year to finish a course that should have taken a month, right? So like you can be smart about like not everybody gets the same message, and it's the same thing for slackers and stuff. So like if 14 days go by and there's no activity, they didn't log on, like, come on, they're probably not coming back, right? And so you want to reach out to them and say like, hey, we missed you. Like, you were on track, blah, blah, blah. So. Right.
Yeah. I can't count the number of times I've bought a course and with every intention of finishing it. And then life happens. I get busy. I forget about it. And a year later, I'm like, oh yeah, I bought that thing. but
right. I should have used that.
Right, exactly. I should have used that, and now is not a great time either. So having those reminders is really powerful. And I love what you said about differentiating the message that you send to them, just making sure that it is applicable to where they are and what they're doing. And I kind of want to draw that out a little bit to kind of the overall message of Member Vault, because the features are all great. The features are amazing, but what really got Maria and I excited about Member Vault when we first heard about it was the message behind it. So I'm kind of curious to know, how did you and Erin, who for those of you who aren't familiar is the other founder and Mike's wife, how did you guys get to this message that student engagement is the kind of driving force behind it?
Oh man. So there's so many things, right? You look back on it and you're like, well, of course it's obvious, but getting there was a very interesting path. I am a developer, obviously, and I love it. I'm one of those weirdos that just I dream in code, and I'm a minimalist. I want to build the cleanest, smallest, fastest thing, out there. And so I have this perfect little snowflake. And so anyway, I wanted to build something super clean, and I'm always offended when I log into software applications and it's overly busy and there's too much stuff going on, and I could read the help documents, but I shouldn't have to read the help documents. But the piece around engagement, though, I mean, that was just one of those things where Erin is huge into automation, right? And so this is you see it all over the place right now, right? Automation, I feel like there's phases of things that get really, really important, right? There was a time and place where just writing a blog was enough. And you could just put out a blog post and hey, people will see this and pay me and I'll get sponsored and stuff like that. And then everyone had a blog and they're okay, you can't do this anymore. It's now we need to do some kind of automations, right? We need to have these systems set up to automate because we can't do all this by hand anymore. And now we believe the next step is going to be engagement, customized engagement, right? So now even just having an automation was another one that we didn't build it. It's just another piece of software. But again, it's using this tagging system, right? You can have blocks on your homepage so that different people will see different homepages, which just blows my mind. But but it also makes complete sense, And again, all this can play well with Member Vault. All this plays well with your email campaigns and everything like that. So that's kind of how we kind of came around to that. And I know I always feel really disingenuous. It always feels really disingenuous when I get an email that's obviously just a template, you know what I mean? That's been pushed out. I always when they just a little bit more to make it seem okay, they're paying attention. They're not just sending me the blanket, thing. I get so many emails. What's up, girlfriend? Hey, girl, And because a lot of but again, there's that assumption, right? But it doesn't need to be like that. And so that's kind of why we got around this whole idea of engagement and this customized engagement. And I forget what it is. I should have these numbers handy, but what the average completion rate is for online courses, I think it's 30% or something. It's very low. When you compare that to college courses or in-person courses, and it just doesn't need to be that low. And so okay, well, how can we get people to finish? How can we get people to stay on board? And you can never force people to do 100%. But every little bit counts. And again, everything just kept coming back messaging wise for us. Everything just kept coming back to this mantra of engage. You have to engage with your students, and it has to be genuine. But you can automate it. You can have a genuine connection that's automated. I think that's kind of the cool thing about our technology right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you kind of hit it right on the head where things are changing. Things are not the same as they were even a year ago. A year, 2 years, 3 years ago, it really was build the course, maybe build out an automation funnel, but even that was still kind of new, and you're set. And those people want more than that. And I think that's a really good thing for anyone watching this who is thinking about building a course or thinking about leveraging a course that they already have, maybe revamping it, updating it, putting it out there in a really authentic way that connects with people. That engagement has to be a piece of the formula. It has to be something you think about as you're going into that creation mode.
Yeah. It absolutely is, and again, it goes so beyond MemberVault, right? MemberVault is a tool, and we're really happy. It's a great tool, but again, it is just a tool, and there's so many tools out there, and this goes into strategy and everything else too. But engagement is key. Like I just really think we're going to see a shift in the future where these kind of like bucket. Like, oh, join my course, and bam, and oh, you get an email. Well done. Like, that's it. Like, I don't think that's not going to be good enough anymore. Like, it's just not. It's going to need to feel better. It's going to need to feel more involved. It's going to need to feel, again, it's going to need to feel more engaging.
Yeah, and I think for some people, especially if they're a little new to creating courses and to facilitating courses, it can feel a little intimidating to create a course. I remember when Marie and I were creating our first course last year, Master Your Messaging, it was a little intimidating to us because even though I had a teaching background and even though we had run challenges in the past, it was like, here's this whole new ball game, right? And the content, this was going to be our signature course, so the content had to be on the ball. We had to have the videos and the templates and do all of the things. And it's so easy to forget about engagement in that. It's so easy to let that drop off when really that should be the first thing that you're thinking about is not just what is the content going to be, but how am I going to keep people excited about this content and update it regularly and make sure that it is on the ball for what they need because their needs are going to change over time. We've had to update the course that we originally put out last year because even in 6 months, things change drastically.
Yeah, and it's cool. We've actually, and I mean that's that's like right on the money too. Like that's exactly right. It's so easy to lose track of your students when you're worried about like the course and this and that. And we've actually, in our beta process and continuing on, we actually have a few consultants that are education experts. They have nothing to do with tech. They have nothing to do with entrepreneurship, really. They're education experts, and we had them on, and we keep them kind of like in the loop when we're working on updates and ideas to make sure that that's kind of front and center here. Like, okay, what's best? Like our last update, MemberVault 1.1, which went live last week, which is awesome. We added fields for lesson activities because, again, that's one of these big things too, like homework, lesson activities. We all know that, but yet I can't remember the last time I did an online course where that was even offered. And so now MemberVault, we're actually prompting users to put that in there. Great, you taught a lesson. Now how are your students going to use this now? And then of course we added in the quiz functionality, which was a big deal. And so you can add multiple choice and or essay questions as well. So, kind of engaging them at that point too, because whenever they have to kind of interact with that knowledge, they're more able to retain it. And again, these are things that are obvious, but it's so easy to forget about. And I forgot about it until we started talking to education experts. And one person, she's an SAT tutor. Like this is not like, but again, it's the same type of thing, right? Like if you want to teach anything, if I want to teach a course on coding, you want to teach a course on messaging and marketing, right? It's the same stuff when you boil down to it. You want people to be engaged. You want people to remember the stuff. You want them to be successful and use it. Why wouldn't you? Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember, one of the key things for me as a teacher, and at this point, I did my high school time in the trenches, but I've also spent time teaching adults, both adult educators and entrepreneurs, just as the nature of working in small groups. You're a facilitator. You're helping get people to learn new concepts. And for me, one of the biggest things, one of the most important things that I think MemberVault does a really good job of capturing, especially with the new update, which I'm super excited about, is differentiation and like this acknowledgement that not everyone learns in the same way. And creating a course that acknowledges that and putting it on a platform that supports that is huge.
Yeah.
So that people who are visual learners, they got the videos right there. People who prefer just templates, people who are more hands-on, they have the ability to have those homework assignments and things like that. Like, that's such a huge thing. And I think a lot of courses and a lot of teachers, regardless of whether you're an entrepreneur teaching or a teacher teaching, tend to teach in the way that they learn, which isn't how everyone else.
Yeah, and that's what one of the things. Well, when we were on an education expert to kind of add on to this, I said, one of our consultants, I said, okay, what is the number one mistake that online course creators are making right now? And all of them said, hands down, they're telling, not teaching. And I think we get into that, and I get in the same thing, right? And get in that same thing where we just, we're just telling, right? We're just regurgitating information out, like, oh, here, learn this, but that's not teaching, And so we've all had those professors in college and high school and stuff like that would just get up and lecture. And then you're supposed to retain it. And that's boring, right? And then, of course, but then we've all had those rock star professors too. Like, what did you teach? What was your subject in high school?
I taught AP English, so language and composition. It was a rhetoric course. So, yeah. It was one of those.
I got to watch my apostrophes and stuff like that and punctuation when I email you. Yeah. That was not...
It was an interesting experience because it was a college level course that I was teaching to high school students. So it was really tapping into that idea that you can't just stand up there and lecture about things like parallelism and synecdoche, because they're going to just fall asleep immediately. You need to make it exciting and engaging. And that's something that I've tried to transfer over as an entrepreneur into the courses we run, the challenges we run, and things like that. People don't want to sit and exactly be told what to do. They want to be a part of the process, and they want to get their hands dirty.
Exactly. And, and this is one of those things too, where everyone learns differently. It's always so interesting. This is why I love, Erin and myself. We're opposites in a lot of ways, which is why we work so well, I think. But in how we learn too, she loves to read. And when she gets these emails that are just she digs into it. And I see that and I'm like, delete. No, I'm not gonna, And then I don't like every course being a video course and stuff like that, because I like to I have ADD. I'm sure grew up in the 80s and they didn't diagnose kids with ADD, but I probably had it. If I grew up today, they'd probably be like, yeah, this kid needs some attention. But I like to skip around and stuff like that. And I think that that it's important, right? And I need a little bit of structure and stuff like that. And I'm not going to read these huge, long things where if I want to skip ahead, I can kind of skip down to the quiz and be like, oh, I can't, I should scroll back up and check that, because it's been a negative for me where I've skipped around the course and I've missed some foundational pieces. And I'm like, whoa, and then I have to backpedal back, where some people will naturally just kind of go through the course, at the pace they're supposed to and read all the rules and do all the homework. And that was never me. But again, one of the things that I love about Memberville also in the 1.1 update is the idea of progressive courses, where you have the lesson needs to be complete before you go to the next one. And then that lesson needs to be complete before you go to the next one. And so things won't unlock until you get to them. And then of course, if you have a quiz at the end of that lesson, well, again, if someone like me that's I know all this already, I'll skip down to the quiz, pass it off and go to the next lesson. That's how I can skip around. But I might get caught at that quiz and be like, oh, I'm glad you asked that, because I didn't know. Now I'm going to go back and look at this. And so again, this is all, everyone learns differently, I think, is the point of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, totally. And I think one of the big takeaways too, after kind of getting my own hands dirty with MemberVault and, getting to put some courses up and see students run through it, for those of you out there who have content and have a backlog of content, especially like Mike said earlier, you've been doing the blogging thing for a while and you're realizing that maybe it's not working the same way it used to, or maybe it is, but you have old content that needs kind of get the dust brushed off of it because it's useful. It's just buried under 100 other posts. Or maybe you did a challenge that was super successful, but it's not running live anymore because you can't just run it perpetually. So all of that is just prime content to be turned into a course that then could become something that's evergreen, that constantly recycles all of that valuable stuff. You know, if you've watched any of our old videos, Marie and I talk a lot about recycling content because usually we're talking about in the context of email sequences, but it works for courses as well because things don't necessarily become less valuable because you put them out like a month ago or a year ago. They may need some updating, but it's still valuable information and you still know what you're talking about and can help people with that. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not utilizing it and leveraging it. And Member Vault and the opportunity to turn that content into a course that where you can see how it's helping people is huge.
That's so exciting. It's been one of the most exciting things is to see how people use this. And you're absolutely right. There's no shortage of content out there, right? I mean, we are in the information age, and every single person, every single expert, everyone's an expert in something, and we probably know a ton about it. And even if you've been in the entrepreneur space for any length of time, you've probably generated a bunch of content. And it's, yeah, you're right. Like you said, it's probably buried under something. And you think, oh, I need to generate more content. Like, oh, I need to generate the whole new thing for this whole new course. And you might not, right? You might have like stuff that's already there. Like you might be able to kind of repurpose and pull into a challenge or a course or something like that. And how awesome would that be if you're like, hey, you already have a course. Like you already have out there what you need. Let's just refactor it and put it into a vehicle that will, you know, let it live again. I think that's super cool. That's a really cool message too. And I hope to see more of that happening in Member Vault too.
Yeah, and I think what you just said is perfect. You already have a course, and I guarantee most of the people who are listening to this, whether they're catching it live or on the replay, have at least the foundational pieces of a course within content they've already produced. It may need updating, it may need to be added on to a little bit, but the bare bones are there. And so often we get caught up in the content churn of just getting more and more and more when really the value is in going back to what you've already done and just making sure that it is the best that it can be and that it has a life, that it is being put in front of people. And
Jesse, it doesn't need to be a huge course, does it?
Nope, definitely
not. This is so one of the coolest things that I think, and it's something we built into the core of Member Vault as well, is the idea of automatically upselling. So like when you create a Member Vault account, like you have your own private cloud, you got your own URL, it's your own space, right? And you can we don't limit courses. You can have 100, you can have 2, it doesn't matter. But the cool thing is that we allow you to put teaser content in there, and then like you can link to your sales pages. So and the idea there is that, and we've seen people use this strategy and be really successful. And I love hearing about it when it happens, where people are like, oh, I ran this free challenge and it was in Member Vault. So like it all automated, right? It was this evergreen thing. People signed up for this free challenge. They consume free content, and then they're in Member Vault and they, you know, and they're going through the challenge, but they see available courses down there too. So here's all your other paid courses that are in there. And they're a click away. People are gonna click on it. If there's a button, then people are gonna click on it. So click on it and be like, oh, you know, I get like a teaser module. You know, I can kind of go through what's this about. And then of course, always prevalent there is like, hey, if you like these free resources, like, you know, buy the course. And several people have now told us that they have gotten sales directly off of that, which again is awesome. Here you went and created this free content, you know, got people into your Member Vault space, and then they were able to, at their own pace, kind of go around and you know, click. You didn't have to. That wasn't a Facebook ad. That wasn't like a, you know, you converted them through your own platform. How cool is that? Like that's free money, you know, and a free fan, and you don't need to teach them how to use Member Vault. They're already in it. Like they already know. They just, next time they log in after they buy it, like it's boom, it's there. They have access to it. So I just think that's really cool too. And that can be, you know, maybe the content that you have laying around out there that can be repurposed. You know, maybe it's not like big sell thing, but maybe that's your free challenge. Like maybe you have a big course that you love right now and you want to sell it, but you can use that old content that you have that's still very much valid, and you can repurpose that into a free mini course or like a low cost mini course or something like that. And so I think that people get in their head about it, like, oh, the course needs to be this big thing.
Yeah, and so that ties really nicely into what's going on with both of our businesses. Is we are actually going to be collaborating soon. So for those of you out here who are really excited about this idea of creating a course, aren't really sure where to start, but you have content that could be a great course that gets lots of engagement and that could be used as an additional income stream, we want to help you do that. And so we're going to be releasing the full details in a couple of weeks, but in July, we will be hosting a challenge, because that's kind of what we do, is challenge after challenge. Awesome. We love our challenges. And there's a reason we love our challenges, because it is all about engagement in a challenge, right? It's people coming together to build something. And in this case, we're going to be helping you build a course or refine a course if you already have one. Mm-hmm. So if you have content or if you have a course that's in need of updating, not only are Marie and I, going to help you create the message around that course and the strategy around that course, but we're teaming up with MemberVault, so you have a place to actually host that course and get familiar with the platform and see its potential. And we're super excited to be doing this. It's going to be amazing. Oh
yeah, and remember, well, we're actually for this too, we're extending our free trial to cover the entire length of the challenge as well. So there really is if you want to keep it at the end and keep rolling with this, and by all means, but yeah, so that's what I'm really excited. It's going to be really cool to see how this all comes together. So yeah.
Yeah. So I don't even think we have a landing page for it yet. Actually, no, we do. So I'll definitely link to that in the comments in the show notes. We haven't set an official start date for it yet, but it is going to be a 30-day challenge. So for those of you who've been in our challenges in the past, we usually do a 3 to 7 day challenge. We are going kind of the full out this time, giving you a full month to create this course.
It's an Ironman challenge.
Yeah, it's like you're in it, and you're going to have an awesome product at the end of it, and that's what we're so excited about. And it takes time to create that, and also we want to be able to give you that support without overwhelming you and giving you, here, create a course in 5 days, and then you're dead. So.
Yeah, no, and it's going to be so cool because, again, you're going to talk about strategy. We're going to talk about the tech, how everything hooks together, and it's just I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And so if you're catching this live or on the replay before the challenge launches, you can definitely join us live, and we'll have those links all in the comment sections and all over the places. But if you're catching this on the replay, even if it's after the challenge launch, so right now it's June 2017. So if this is in November, you're watching this, you can still catch the content, because guess what? Once it's done, it's going to be hosted in MemberVault and it's going to be available to you. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh my God, yes, I need to create a course, we've got you totally covered.
It's still there.
Yep, it's still there.
It's evergreen, like my background here.
Yes, exactly. So, okay, first of all, thank you so much for joining me, Mike. Yes. This has been so much fun. And anytime I get an excuse to talk about teaching and education and stuff,
it's so fun, right?
I get super excited. But how can people stay in contact with you if they want to learn more about MemberVault?
Oh man, well, hot off the press, right here, talking about was it doing what you preach or something like that? It's all about engagement, right? So we have a new employee here at MemberVault. He's called Engagement Bot.
Ooh.
And so he's a Facebook bot. He's a good looking fella. He's got a little Southern charm. So he's a Southern gentleman of a robot, and I guess we'll put the link in there too, but it's bit.ly, the shortener. So it's bit.ly/engagementbot, all one word. And so he's going to ask you about your courses and about your content and stuff like that. And so it's a little bot that you can kind of play with there. And of course, you can follow him back to MemberVault if you want to check it out and check out the site. But just have some fun with MemberVault. He's a nice guy. And so, he just wants to chat.
He sounds very dapper.
He's very dapper. Wait till you see him. He's a lovely shade of green, and he's got good manners.
I'm super excited to go have a conversation with him as soon as we finish this up. Well, thank you again so much. We'll put those links into the show notes. So if you want to go and have a chat with Engagement Bot, or if you want to Member Vault on Facebook and keep up to date with it, or if you want to join the challenge for next month.
Definitely join the challenge.
Will be there. Yeah, you definitely want to join the challenge. It's going to be amazing. Thank you again, Mike. It's been amazing.
Thank you, Jesse.
Awesome.
All right.